In this Forza Horizon 4 video, I decided to challenge myself to a sub 7-minute lap of Goliath in the Ferrari 599XX Evolution. Can you do better? If you followed ATribeCalledCars for a while, you'll know I've spent a lot of time at Goliath. Not physically, it's obviously not a real race. The longest race in the game, and it reminds me of the TT Isle of Man, which is the best road race in the world. What the likes of Guy Martin do on a superbike here is absolutely out of this world. But seeing as I cannot legally ride a motorbike, my mum won't let me, and that the new TT Isle of Man Ride on the Edge 2 game isn't here yet, so I decided to see if I can tune the Ferrari 599XX Evolution into something that can hopefully beat Goliath in 7 minutes, which is the next best thing apparently. And then I'll be talking through my lap to give you tips on how to drive it fast and maybe do better than I do. The simple fact is very few cars in Forza Horizon 4 are capable of getting this close to 7 minutes. Can the Ferrari be my first car to actually break that barrier? As is almost always best for road racing, I went with the all-wheel drive conversion and kept the stock engine. All power upgrades have been applied as I need as high a top speed as possible. Twin turbo conversion essential. I've also applied weight reduction, added the race gearbox and differential for tuning purposes, gone for the same width tyres at the front and max width at the rear. No change to tyre rim size though, as I find it makes pretty much no difference. In terms of tuning, check out the description for the entire setup because I'm not going to go through all of it here. What I will say though is having tried out a 5-gear ratio, I found using all 6 meant better overall acceleration, even though you lose more time changing. I've set it to 3.46. Tyre pressure meanwhile is at 19 psi at the front and 19.3 at the rear. Camber is 1.7 at the front, 1.5 at the rear. Toe is 0.0 for both. Front caster is 6.7. I've got the anti-roll bar set to 1 and 65 at the back. This works brilliantly, even though it makes absolutely no sense. Downforce is also best served with extreme values. Max cornering at the front to help you turn in and maintain grip. Max speed at the rear to obviously give you the most speed and help avoid adding understeer. The brake is a little front bias to help with rotation when you stick it on. Pressure is 150% to ensure fast braking, but you're less likely to lock up if you have ABS off. The more skilled players among you may favour 200%, but I prefer a slightly happy medium. Differential meanwhile is 100% for both front and rear acceleration and 0% for deceleration respectively. The balance is 65% to provide better turning and the other benefits of rear-wheel drive without affecting that lovely all-wheel drive launch and grip. Okay, lap commentary time. Excuse the sloppy lap, I only practiced for 2 of them. So here we go. Draw as straight a line as you can through this particular section and then on the brakes very hard for this little left, as close to the left side as you can. Cut through there around about 130 miles an hour through this bit, power back on. Now for the bridge, not too much, because if you go too wide, you'll have a weird line on the exit. I'm gently easing on this corner, hug the curve as much as you can without touching it. Now keep your speed on this corner a little bit lower, because you want to be a bit slower than I was to then put the power back on to go through this corner. Now this bit looks kind of fast, but it actually isn't, even with the upward added downforce. So keep it to about 160, 170 here. Not too much power, you don't want to be too wide for this right corner because you've got a very long bit of straight now. Now here, if your car's set up well, you should be able to get through this around 200 plus. Just be a little careful, it's a bit twitchy, a few bumps, don't get it too wrong. About 180 for that corner here. If you hit this left rock face, it's game over, so it's better to be a little bit cautious. And keep the car as straight as you can through this bit. You really don't need to turn too much. Go out a little bit wide and then hug the left, hug the right. There's a bit of a jump here depending on your suspension and car. Slam on the brakes. This is quite a fast corner. Doesn't matter too much the position you're in because the next one isn't too steep. There is a jump there as well, and I get the brakes on kind of early here because you don't want to go into the house, which is not very good for the people that live there either. I'm braking just after this corner. Don't leave it too late like I did there, because you'll be in a much better position to cut through that S-bend faster. Stick to the right here, let the car go out to the left a bit. On with the brakes. Always try and brake while the car is straight as opposed to cornering, much more effective. Now the left side of that river is better. Stick on the left. Now here I'm going a little bit slow, you could go a bit faster than this, but power on. Again, just cut through to the left, around about 160 to 180, through that corner. and then hug the right for the next sort of left, so around 130-40. Not too much power for this bit because it will overshoot you into this fence, and there's a jump here, so you need to make sure your line is straight, otherwise you're going to go off. Another little S, brakes on hard. This is the more potent of two very similar corners. Next one is coming out now, so on the brakes hard, but you only need to do about 130, 140. The other one is about 10 miles an hour-ish slower. This is quite a steep corner. You can cut through a bit. It doesn't necessarily save you much time at all. Stick to the right, come through again. Now across the bridge. Added downforce helps you get around this corner, but stick to the right as much as you can. Not too much speed because you need to go quite fast for the left. You touch the grass, you will slide far. Bit of a blind drop here. This wasn't done very well by me, but ultimately you want to cut through as straight as possible and get on the brakes hard for this bit. Avoid that wall, that will cost you a lot of time to get out of. Now you can go around the roundabout, but if you want the fastest times you have to do that, I'm afraid. It's a little bit of a cheat, but it's the only way. Aim for just beside the lamppost on the right when you do that. Here, maximum power if your setup's good. Avoid the lamppost in the middle, as they will mess you up, and this is where your high top speed really matters, and this car comes into its own. And this corner breaks away quite fast, so try and gently ease on the accelerator for the left and judge when to turn. Now here, stick to the left and really chuck the car through as close as you can to that house. Normally 200 plus is a good speed, but the higher you have, the better, because you are flat out for quite some time now. Just gently tapping the joysticks here. You don't want to upset the car weight too much. A lot of ups and downs, elevation changes, and you're doing a very high top speed. Hug the right. Again, just gently through this S, don't need to turn much. Now take that a little bit wider, then go onto the left, and then you can be set up for the lighthouse corner, which you can take at 210, 220 if you're good. Do not cut very much there, because it will send you off into the hedge. Now go to the right, dab the brakes, and then come back across. Depending on your downforce, you should be able to do that quite fast, but that is one of the most difficult corners to nail without having to rewind. There are quite a few bumps and curves to avoid. Okay, controller disconnected, exactly what I want. Now again, cut across, you can see sort of just drawing a straight line through these corners, and here you want to make sure that you stay on the left. I should have done more than that, but you can do more to be faster through there. These corners are quite weak, but just sort of go out a little bit wide, and that will help you stick to the left for this corner here. Brakes on, there is a little jump depending on the car, so you want to be lined up early, but 200 plus is good. Full power again, flat out, flat out. Now here you need to hug to the left and be turning to the right as well, because there's another jump, and if you don't, it will jump you off into the hedge. Around about 130 to 150 here. This left is kind of sweeping. Now max power on, but just do not hit those railings because that will slow you down. You should be coming out of there around 190 plus. Now again, full speed, probably cut too much, so I lost a tiny bit of speed, but you don't have to. Again, just draw a straight line through, a little better than I am. And here, brakes on quite hard and turn as hard as possible. Probably can do it a little bit neater than that, but if you're doing 210 plus, then that corner is a success. Avoid the bollards in the middle, so stay out to the right, and also it draws a straighter line through because it naturally comes to the right. Down to about 150 to 170, don't go too wide or hit curbs. Ultra rigid setups will send you off course and you'll crash. Now don't go too far wide for these two because you want to come back in for the left and be ready for this fast right here. Down the straight, bit of a blind right, but just gently turn a little bit before, and again blind for the left, and just allow the car to sort of cruise through here as fast as possible. Do not brake for this, you have downforce that helps you. Now right as hard as you can, but get on the left quickly, otherwise you will go too fast into that house there. Just a little bit to the left. Now begin to brake and slow down a little bit there and on with the anchors, because if you take that corner too much across, cut the corner, you will jump. Now this one, just hug the inside as much as possible, or you can go out wide and then back in. I do lose a bit of time here, annoyingly, and that really does gimp my lap. You can take that a bit faster, but don't go too far wide for the next right, which is the final corner. Should have been quicker here, and this will obviously make up a good 2 or 3 seconds. Sadly, in this case, only 7 minutes and 3/49 hundredths of a second, so incredibly close, but I could see at least 5 corners there where I could make up more time. Anyway, hopefully that gives you a rough idea how to drive Goliath a little bit faster and what the 599XX Evolution can do. Anyway, use my tune, and if you do, give me a like, ask me questions, subscribe, all that stuff. Take care, bye.